Hi, Jonathan. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, good.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. How's everyone doing today?
Good, thank you.
Very good.
All right. Just trying to pick a fun background for myself here, but no, there we go. I want to be at the beach today. That's better. Bridge. Okay. All right. We got, okay. Everyone's here on time. That's a first. That's very good news.
Hey, good
All right.
afternoon, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to get together.
Yeah. All right, Michael, we got. All right. So I'm Rene Casas Corderos. I'm a franchisee here in Vancouver, BC. You'll just have a quick hello from everyone. Tell me where you are, and then we'll go from there. Because 4 people are supposed to join today, so I think we're good to go.
Well,
I'll start since I was
First-
last. My name is
oh,
Mike
good.
Falvey. My name is Mike Falvey. I'm from outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania in the States.
Thank you, Michael. Go, Jonathan. Here, I'll pick to make it
Jonathan
easy.
Roth, I'm from San Diego, California.
All right. We got Denzel.
Denzel Burris, Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. Jeff.
Jeff Straight. I'm in Salina, Texas, just a northern suburb of Dallas.
Okay, cool. And Jeff, you want to just quickly tell us where? Oh, we can see you too now. Awesome.
Yeah. I am in Houston, kind of
Okay.
southeast Houston.
Okay, good stuff. All right, I've done a few of these, so I'll start the talking, I guess. There's 5 of you, and then we'll give you a quick. My story might be a bit different, so I'll just tell you how I got involved with Bin Masters, and then I'll field some questions. So just quickly, I'm actually slightly. Did you guys all do the discovery calls as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Most of you. Okay, so you'll see, like in the paperwork, you'll see my name in the franchisor. So from the beginning, I was one of the first franchisees out here in Vancouver, BC. I had met Lawrence, who's one of kind of the key guys of Bin Masters. He used to own a bunch of restaurant franchises, and he sold those actually just before COVID. So it's kind of like he knew something. I'm in the travel business, so I actually got hit hard by COVID. And then so we met during that time, and they needed somebody to help start a franchise out here in BC and get a proven test that we could run this. So myself, I did this with the 3 other guys in BC. I run the Vancouver franchise, and then in Montreal in tandem, they actually started a truck as well. The guys who build the trucks, the pack mats. So we do have some proof of concept there. So just so you all know everything, I am just a little bit part of the franchisor, but I'm more of the blue collar guy. Got into running the business. So like I said, during COVID, I own a travel company that helps Germans travel through Canada. So then I jumped into running a bin masters right in the beginning for a year or so. So, do you guys hear that background noise right now? It's just the vacuum's on in my house, but if you don't hear it,
No,
don't
sounds
worry.
okay.
We're good. Okay, good stuff. So yeah, so we've been running our truck here for 16 months in Vancouver. Our best month was 20,000, but we're usually hitting the 17 to 19,000 a month right now. We started really strong. We got to our probably 10, 12K a month in the first 3 to 4 months. And all of us were all the 4 guys who own the company were able to give a lot of time to the company. Then we hired our first drivers, and that's when we realized things slowed down a little bit in terms of sales. But here we are today. We're pretty happy with what we've got. Our goal is to get, hopefully to get to 4 or 5 trucks in the Vancouver Lower mainland that has population about 2.5 million. So that's kind of our goal to do that in the future. So now we went through a couple drivers. So we did have a few staffing issues in the beginning, but now we've got 1 great driver and we're back off to the races here. So from what we know from the Montreal guys, I think we can hit probably 30K a month is kind of the beauty target to get for 1 truck. And that's only working during working hours. That's more of a schedule. That's your 9 to 5. So, I think we do think there's some opportunity to work outside those hours and get that truck rolling a bit more. So, now maybe we'll start jumping into some questions, you guys, so I can get into the right direction. What you guys wanna hear.
Those revenues you're talking about are 1 truck, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Rene, the truck, you have 1 truck now, it's electric?
Yeah. No, we have a diesel. So because we were the first, the electric wasn't there yet. But we are excited. We want our second truck to go electric. Several reasons. Being in Vancouver, you're in San Diego. I think there's some nice subsidies for electric trucks out here. And right now, I'd say we've done a lot of business with small to medium businesses. So we've actually all the sales I've done B2B has been mainly about saving people money. So I feel like we haven't even touched the green piece of it. Now, obviously, with being a diesel truck, you're not as green, not even close to as green as electric. And that's kind of one piece of the puzzle that we haven't tackled yet, but I think is a pretty big piece down the road. Working with cities to get tenders, things like that. So we haven't touched that even, but that's some huge opportunity. So I think the sales process will be even easier with the electric truck.
So of the small to medium companies that you're dealing with, how many total customers now?
So we have, I want to say we're like 60 to 75 customers. But one of the amazing thing has kind of been the repeat business that I've seen from bin masters. So, I mean, we haven't lost a client. So once we start smashing someone, I mean, they just start saving money and then they just keep calling us back. I mean, what
Of those are most calling you to get the service, or do you have them on a rotation where they're coming, once a week or twice a week?
Yeah, so we prefer the rotation guys are the best. So if you find somebody that's, twice a week getting their garbage bins flipped right now, the ultimate is you come and just take away one of those flips and you become that once a week. So we have one guy actually who's a moving company. They used to get their bins flipped every day. And what would happen is even if they were only 60% full, that next day they would need more than 60% of that bin or 40% anyway. So they would just get flipped no matter what. So we were able to come in and do 4 flips a week. So we flip, 4 crushes a week. So instead of 6 flips a week, we do 4 crushes, and then the bin company still does the 2 flips. That's kind of your ultimate. That's kind of our best customer right now. And then we have some that are weekly, but I'd say 40% are on schedule. Maybe a little less, 30%. The rest do call us. So if guys just call for their bins, then they'll call us as well. So it depends how they do it.
So like moving company is one thing that you think is a great target?
Yeah. So that moving company actually also has a big warehouse, and they move. They're kind of like a 3PL logistics company. So they have a big warehouse with a lot of furniture from Urban Barn, some of the big furniture companies. So when they go deliver a couch and they bring one back, they tend to fill up those bins really fast. That's been a little gem that we didn't really know would have existed. So warehouses, they fill up their bins really fast. Anybody who does a lot of 3PL, and they tend to be in the same neighborhoods, right? All in that same industrial zone. The cabinet companies are big for us. Anybody building cabinets, any kind of product of they're building, manufacturing wood. So it has a lot of waste. So we have several of those cabinet companies as customers.
Where do you store your truck? Sorry.
So
I was just
we're
gonna ask, is that looks like about 6 smashes a day?
we're doing more in the 10 range, I'd say. 10 ranges a day, 10 smashes. I would say maybe a little less on some. I'd have to, I don't know my exact numbers here. I should have, but give or take, some are a bit more. But I think 10 is kind of our average.
What kind of
Anybody-
competition do you have in your area?
So we're the first to market here in Vancouver. So there's no smash make trash. There's no, so I guess the flip side there, I'm sure as you talked about. So I mean, we do have to tell everyone about it. A lot of people have no idea what the truck does. So there's a bit of a learning curve. Go out there, talk about it. But we're the only ones there. So I guess that there is no competition. So it's hard for me to talk to that. But I think with the electric truck, it's going to be a real no-brainer. For some of these medium to larger companies, 100% is the way to go. So that's pretty exciting for you guys. And it'll be cheaper to run the truck versus fuel. There's going to be a lot of advantages there. And quickly, the storage. So it turns out one of our owners of the franchisee has kind of a 3-acre piece of land with a barn, so we're able to store it there. So we got lucky, to be honest, in that regard. I know one of the Montreal guys has a really good client that he crushes every day. They're a manufacturer of some styrofoam. They have a lot of this really light waste, and they're able to park it at the guy's yard every day because they crush there anyway. So they were able to make a bit of a deal. So I understand electric will be a little trickier because you do need that charging station there. But I think you could probably make deals with some of these industrial guys. I'm sure they have lots of power, so maybe there's some that could be done there.
You talked a little bit about some of the challenges you had with your initial drivers. Can you talk a little bit about what those were and how you might avoid them in the future, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we hired pretty quick off the bat some guys that we had put out some ads. So we didn't do too much due diligence, to be honest. And they were guys who at the end, oh, hey, Vince, how you doing? Okay, well, assume you can hear us. I'll just keep going, Michael, there.
Sure, no problem.
Just, you got it. Since your customers are good customers, you do want to have that good customer service. So we had guys who just weren't just top-notch customer service, trying to get things done a little too fast. I mean, the machines are built not to damage the bins, but if you're too aggressive and you do some really bad things with it, it is a 3-ton weight, so you can get some damage done. So just get it. I had one guy who was just racing to get done early. It didn't work out for us. Another guy who was a bit loopy, not good with customers, so we had to fix a couple issues with those. So it's unfortunately the training, right? So now you realize it's important to pick the right guy, because training someone does take time, get him working for you. So the good news is I feel like a lot of businesses need a lot of staff, and with this business, you can pay a bit better and find one great employee, I think, to run the truck for you. But I mean, I think,
go ahead, please finish your thought. Rene.
I was just going to say, depending on your model, if you can drive and do the sales yourself for the first, 6 months, I feel like there's learning yourself how to drive, I think would be a pretty strong piece to get this going. If, that's, I say all on these calls, the B2B sales is kind of the one piece that is the hard piece to do. If you have some experience or willing to train and work hard, that there will be that piece to do no matter what. It's not, you can't just open your doors and expect people to come by, just like a McDonald's or a Subway. People just walk in because of that. But I feel like your investment to reward can be better as well. So that's that's kind of the biggest thing in a nutshell. What I've learned from franchises right now is that this is more of a B2B. So there's that hurdle to do compared to other franchises. But if you can, feel confident you can overcome that one, then I think this is a great opportunity for the right person.
And as you thought about staffing and that challenge that you just referred to, have you all thought about hiring a general manager or someone to run sales for you? Or is that something that you guys are
I
running
think,
yourself?
yeah, well, now that our sales are higher, I think this is the time to pull the trigger on getting a full-time salesperson. And then because we want to get another truck as well. So we've got,
Mhm.
We're at 20K revenue with another truck. The goal would be 60K a month. So if we can get somebody in to get us from that 20 to 40, now that the truck can pay for, a chunk of that wage as well, the first truck of a salesperson. So I think we're just in that position. We're just about to pull the trigger on that if we can consistently be over 20. I think that's our goal here.
Thanks. Thank you.
How do you run your receivables? Are you offering terms? Are you doing more credit card stuff?
Yeah, so at the beginning we weren't sure where it's going to go, but it turns out because we work a lot of industrial commercial companies, they love the pay at the end of the month. So we do the net 15 or net 30, and usually we just get paid at the end of the month. So it keeps it pretty clean at the end of the day as well. So it goes pretty smooth instead of being very confused all the time, invoices, chasing people. And those companies are pretty good. Once you're on a routine with them, their accounts at the end of the month, they tend to pay on time. So it's been pretty good with that.
What's on time, Rene? Is it 30 days? Is it 15
Yeah,
days?
so
How quickly do they pay you?
yeah, so we like to, whatever the month we'll bill like 5-6 days after the month end. And then if we did 30 days, I would probably maybe start with 15. If they push you at 30, maybe say okay. So it could be as short as 30, but as long as 60 if they crush on the first of the month and pay at the end of the month. So
Thanks.
I think net 15 seems fair.
If you're dealing with a lot of medium, small size customers, are they looking for limits or a proof of certificate of insurance off the bat? And then if so, what kind of limits are they looking for on that?
To be honest, no, we haven't had any of that out here.
Okay.
So we do have a 5 million though. So but most guys know it's been no big deal to get signed up. And when I say small to medium, when you go industrial, I'm sure most of these companies are doing, they're still pretty big. And I mean the large is, the big corporations. They have they have spots in every city, and it's going to be harder to get into those, or large construction companies that have, thousands of employees. Those would be the small to medium. I'm still talking probably your 20 to 100 employees, have a couple acres of industrial, and they're manufacturing something.
Got it.
How many months did it take you till you were at break even?
So so like I said, we did really well to start in our first, because everyone had a bunch of time to invest in the sales process. So we got to 10 to 12, I'd say in the first 3-4 months, we did pretty well. And since then we kind of plateaued a bit. So from there, it's taken us a bit longer to get from that 12 to 20. And there were some months that we didn't have anybody kind of knocking on doors at all because we were training. So if one guy was available, but you had to train the truck driver instead of go do sales. So there was some gaps there of growth. But now we're hoping we have a few guys who have a bit more time now. So we're getting back on the train. I guess once we broke even, we kind of let the gas off the pedal a little bit because we weren't losing money anymore. So don't recommend that. So because like I said,
there's four of you.
yeah, there's 4 of us that started the business in the franchisee in it's just south of Vancouver. We call it Delta. Yeah.
Got it.
Having reflected on that, you said, has it been a total of 16 months, Rene?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so like, thinking about the last year and a half, what would you have done differently knowing what you know now? Or what are you gonna do differently with your second truck or with a different territory? Anything different you would do?
Well, like I said, we're trying to, I guess we don't have the time to get to sales ourselves. So I think you really need somebody dedicated sales full time.
Okay.
And kind of the opportunity cost partly is because all those months we could have been making money because there's a lot of reoccurring income. And it's not like a roof where if you do that guy's roof next month, you know, you'll get that revenue later. You might, if you can try and get it now. So I would pedal to the metal when you start really get that truck revving. So I wish we had invested more time in the business. So I own a travel company as well. So when that came back from
Mhm.
COVID, I can't give back time, but I guess I wish I'd given a bit more time to Bin Masters, to be honest. So
Anything you would replicate in the next truck or the next territory? Like things that went well?
I mean, so we've tried selling a few ways. We've had some guys try to go out on their own in their cars and sell. Right? We found that being in the truck made that breaking the ice a lot easier in the actual sales process. This is more minutia, but when you drive in the back of the yard, you got this big truck and you can do a demo right away. You really get someone's attention versus telling them that you can come later with the truck and do a demo. It's a lot easier to close. That's when our closing rate was much higher.
Huh,
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see once you've got a route that you go out with the driver, even just when after you've done the route, like you said, then if you had a driver and go out and just cold call in your area.
Yeah, that's right. So another thing, you know who your customers are because they have a bin. So a lot of people talk about marketing. Like in industrial, you don't want to be sending marketing to everyone if you know they don't have a bin. So that's why I think really showing up in person or marking in advance in a car where all the bins are and then going with the truck, you really know who your customers are. So you really want to finesse that sales process with those. Because you know it's not every business has them, so it's worth spending a bit more time on each in this sales process versus something that everyone has. I would say, like a photocopier. You know, everyone knocks on every door. You don't know when that guy needs another photocopier. That's a tough. If you've sold photocopiers though, this will be a much easier sell. So you're actually saving people money, and it happens quickly.
Do you charge 100? Is it 150 a crush?
That's correct. Yeah. And we actually started lower. We started 125 here, and all over Canada, everyone kind of started a bit lower, but we're all at 150 now, and very little pushback on that. So I mean, just everything's going up in prices, right? So even the big companies and their fuel surcharges and this and that. So it's starting to add up.
What's a
Oh,
haul
how much-
cost in Vancouver for someone to haul the bin away?
Yeah. Here you'll ask people and they'll tell you an answer, but it's not necessarily the reality because the invoices can be hard to read. People make, and they do different things. Some will make more on the weight, some will make less on the weight. So for some people, different bin companies can be better deals. But on average, we've seen here from the very best deal I think we saw was about 250 up to 450 for a bin flip. It can depend a bit on how far that company is to the dump. So there's a few factors the bin companies will take into account.
There's a lot of waste consultant companies out there. Have you heard of anybody or you yourself approached any of these guys to provide bin masters as a solution for those guys as well? So, I mean, you got your operators like, who actually own the bins and haul them away and everything. But like I said, there's a lot of consultants out there who will try to find unique solutions for customers, typically your larger industrial corporations that they're working with. Have you ever been approached or heard anybody else doing that?
So I met with one guy who had a company, but he wasn't in our town. But I did start the conversation because I really like the idea of it. He's basically a bin broker, right? So for him to get a bin from, company ABC, then crush, he can go to any company and get them a better deal at the end of the day. Right. And so, so I think there's something there. I wasn't able to close it with this guy. One thing he was worried about is kind of like he would have to go, I guess, reduce business for one of his there's a bit of a thing where I guess at the end of the day, he might not be looked great upon from the bin companies.
Right.
But we're in Canada where this hasn't been out yet at all. So I think if I was a consultant and once this becomes a bit more mainstream, which it is in the US, I think there's some good synergies there to work with that consultant. Or a bin, I mean, I'm surprised. I don't know in the US, maybe perhaps somebody's already working with a bin company because you could basically, if you have a lot of bins and not enough drivers right now, we can be a real solution to that. And you can actually bring better deals to all the customers. So I think if
Yeah.
you could sit down with the right bin owner, we've had a couple conversations in Vancouver here. There's one guy who's actually open to it. We haven't done anything with him yet. So he's not big in the construction world. So he thought maybe with him, we could go together and approach some big construction companies. And so we are working at that. So I think there will be synergies, but nobody wants to be the first or I haven't been
Sure.
great at selling it yet. But definitely the way you're thinking, Jeff, is definitely the future of where you work with these guys. Because I think if they can bring you a lot of business, then you can give them a cut of that 150. And I think if they're telling, if you're adding 5 of those, crushes, but they're telling you where to go and it's not your sales team, and they can make $50 a crush, maybe not that much, but the reality is, are they making $50 on a bin flip? Like, not necessarily, right? So, or
Yeah.
maybe they are, but they can't do as many in a day. So I think there's a way for them to have more bins, less trucks, and so be more competitive, have a better business with us rather than try and not work with us. So
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process is, I mean, for their customers, it makes a lot of sense, but to your point, the suppliers that they're using, the guys that owns the bins, that
Yeah.
might be a difficult sell for them, but
the other point there is, so when I go to a company, I kind of have to show them you'll save, not substantial, but a decent amount of money to switch to try me. Okay. Let's just say it's, it costs him $1,000 right now for all his garbage for a month. And then if I'm there, say, well, you use me, it's going to go down to say 750 or 700. Okay. But if you're the bin company and you say, hey, we got this new technology, but now it's going to be 900 a month. I mean, no company is gonna be like, no, I don't want you to do that and save me 10%. But now there's that extra margin that could be shared between the bin company and bin masters, rather than us coming and saving them 20 to 30%. That just, you see where I'm going with that?
yeah,
And then there's that. So that number, I think there's some real magic in there, because then they don't even need to know the price of the crushes. The bin company can just make it a total package. So I think there's money to be made there, where everybody wins. And the bin company could do better if they work with us rather than we just go straight to the consumer. And now the consumer is getting all the savings. And they're already their customer for the bin company. So it's really a dead easy sale for them to push that on.
Have you had
Yeah.
any experience with recycling type products where they're using bins for recycling?
Well, so cardboard is pretty big here in Vancouver. That's the main, yeah. And then there's metal, but we do have a few guys that actually get their metal crushed. But they have a different system where the bin company moves it for free because they sell the metal. So in that case, we'd like to approach maybe the company that moves all the metal. But cardboard is a big one, and it's really light and it crushes really well.
you are finding a lot of cardboard. They're not already baling that themselves and trying to recycle it themselves.
No, only I find that just the stores like the Walmarts and they have their little machines, but the average companies do not have that. We've noticed out here. So most of them will have that garbage and that cardboard bin.
Gotcha.
Excellent. Well, you've answered all my questions, Rene. I have to take off. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Okay, Jonathan. Thanks for your time. All right, Vince, where are you at, Vince? We heard about everyone. See where you.
How you doing? So I live in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
Nice to
All
meet
right.
you. Way
Nice to
across
meet
the
you.
United States from you.
Yeah,
I missed-
yeah.
So I missed the first part, and I don't think that you were on the FDD that I received. So you've been in business 16 months?
That's right. So well, just quickly, I'm part of the franchisor as well. So just to be
Okay.
fully disclosed, but I'm more the blue collar guy who came from a non-franchise world and came in to start the first one of the first franchises out here in Vancouver.
Okay.
Somebody started in Montreal as well. So me and 4 guys started it here. We kind of managed well, we did everything at first, but now we have a driver, and yeah, but we're looking at getting a second truck and maybe a full-time sales guy because we don't all have the time to. We're definitely not putting in a full-time salesperson job at the moment. So.
So is there other people that is like Smash My Trash or any other competitors in the area?
Well, no, so we're the only ones out here.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a different landscape, I guess, in terms of that. So is there a Smash already in your area?
There is. Been
Yeah,
here about 2 years.
Okay. All right, because I guess we were talking to somebody once about a Florida. I guess with all your hurricanes and your tornadoes, there's a lot of business in the demolition here.
There is a lot of construction.
Right. Things get destroyed. So,
Yes.
I mean, I think the electric piece is going to be a really nice advantage. Are there subsidies in Florida for the truck? I know California I heard had some for the electric truck. I think
Some
there's
incentives. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's about 40,000 for Florida.
Okay.
I think it's 100,000 for California. So we
Yeah.
have that incentive. And then I do have a question now that we're thinking about it. Where do you put your truck and charge it? Is that a
Right.
challenge?
So the thing is, we're a diesel truck because we were the first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
the electric wasn't ready yet. So easy enough. But we have and on top of that, one of the franchisees has a 2-acre piece of land, so we're able to park it on his land. So
Gotcha.
but we have had in Montreal, we know we have one guy who actually parks on one of his clients we crushes every day.
Mhm.
So I don't know if in the future there could be some opportunities to park at some of your customers' places. I do know that charging though might need a high-end, high-powered charging. So not sure. We'll have to talk to Sean and Dennis about some of those ideas.
Yep. Yeah. Sean and I were talking about that yesterday. And then how hard is it to get a sale?
So, I mean, I've done a bunch of sales, including some door-to-door stuff. It's in our first 3 months, I kind of had some time and I did it. And my closing rate, I'd say, was quite strong. I mean, I want to say like 40%. So I was walking in, closing the deals. But we've had some guys less experienced, not as successful. Also, I like to go with the truck, be able to just like go drive right in the back of that yard, meet whoever's working the back, meet the blue collar guys, see what's going on, talk to them a bit, do a free demo, show them what it can do. Then you really get people's attention. I thought that was great. Because we all know if you walk in and see the secretary, she's just going to tell you to come back another day. So you got to be a bit clever, but with that machine and showing it off and it's yours, I mean, people want to see it in action.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you didn't wait for the manager to show up. You just said, "Hey, you want to see it?"
Sometime, yeah, and show him. Then sometimes he'd go get the manager, or then we just do another one. Like, yeah, people get excited. Something different. It's nice weather is good for sales too. It's all outdoors, so you guys have the edge on us here. In the winter here, it can be a little gloomy and rainy. So
for those customers that don't need it on a regular basis, don't need smashed on a regular basis, how are you contacting them? Are you calling them every week or?
So a lot of them will call us. A lot of them will call us, but our driver will, if he's driving by a bin that he knows is a frequent enough customer, he will drive by and see how full it is and give him a quick call if it's full, if he's in the area. And most guys are pretty good about calling us. It's part of because they need that bin to be emptied. That's kind of the beauty of the garbage world. Then they get in trouble if not. If they can't put anything in, then that's when the yards tend to get really dirty. People are putting stuff everywhere. So, you'll end up, when you get a new customer, a lot of times you'll end up doing a yard cleaning day. And then so you can stay there and you'll maybe do 2 or 3 crushes and they get all the forklift guys to come in and just let's clean this yard up. So you will get some gigs for that and get a little bonus for the month. So we found out. And then, yeah, so they'll call you before because they need that bin. So.
And it's a 3-ton? Are they 3 tons?
The rolls? Yeah.
The rolls?
Yeah.
I think the Smash My Trash is a 2. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So We have superior compaction.
Yes. 50% more. Okay.
Renee, anything that we haven't talked about that comes to mind as things we should be considering?
Oh, I hate that question. So it's a tricky one. No, I'm just kidding. All in all, I mean, I can emphasize it. So Mike, quick, are you looking to drive yourself at all, sell? Or are you gonna put somebody in place? What are you looking at?
I would
tactic?
probably put somebody in place would be the initial goal. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so it would have to be a driver salesperson to start, or would you also be able to help
I
with
would
the sales?
ideally, I'd like to have somebody who is a general manager slash salesperson that drives the truck around, does a lot of the things that you just referred to.
Yeah,
And his sole job is to get himself out of the truck so that
okay.
we get a second truck and he hires 2 drivers and then manages the business and sales
Yeah,
from there.
if
That's
you-
the thought process.
Yeah, I know, I like it. If you can get that one guy who can really sell and just get his full truck and then moves on to the next and next and next, that's kind of you hit the nail on the head there. That is a great strategy. But you'll see, obviously he has to be good. I mean, it's pretty simple, but this business, I would say, is
Yeah.
really about that sales guy. And then the business keeps on coming. So the recurring is kind of the real magic behind it.
Mhm.
So it's just about finding that right guy to sell. And then you're off to the races. So
Mhm.
everything's very simple, like the billing, all the little administrative stuff is very light in this business.
Okay. What about customer complaints? How does that, do you get any? How do you obtain feedback from the clients that you're working with that, yeah, the driver's doing a good job, not doing a good job? Have you found yourself in that situation?
Yeah, like so we had a couple drivers, a couple altercations with the people. There were some cars parked in the wrong place. So we did hear back from our one driver who was a bit of a high temper, so he didn't last very long. So yeah, you need somebody who's really good customer service, because if you have a good account, there's these golden goose accounts, there's not a million of them in your area. So you
Yeah.
really want to take good care of them.
Mhm.
So it'd be good to have some kind of backup system to see who's happy with the services, like your general manager. I guess once he gets his drivers, he would need to pop in there once a month and say hi to the team, make sure everything's going well.
So it's really just, it's through outreach that you're getting the feedback from folks.
We are now, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So what are your sales up to now?
So our best month was 20,000, and that was in July now. So I say that was May. It's just slightly down from that in June. Sometimes you'll the curve really just keeps going up, except you'll get some little bumps of getting a little bump in the right way normally, because you're getting some of these cleanups, yard cleanups, things like that. But I think all our franchise, the sales have really just kind of kept going up, which is nice. We're plateau, but nothing's really gone down. So that's kind of the really good news of this business.
Good.
And then, I mean, what you can make, I mean, yeah, if you can pay off the truck, let's just say you pay off the truck and there's no lease, and you got the electric truck and you're driving yourself. I mean, you're doing 15,000, and only a couple of thousand probably to pay all your expenses. If that, you can be bringing in some good money off one truck. So
Yeah. Are you north of 50% on profit margin?
so if I was the driver, like if I drove myself and took over the company, we would be. So our
Okay.
lease is about 5,000, gas 1,000. So we're about 78,000 burn. So but then our driver is now 5,000. So we're about 12,000 all in. But now we're not
Okay.
driving. So, but as soon as we hit 24,000 sales, then we'll be 50% margin with the driver. That's kind of where the magic to the expenses to get that extra 2,000, and once you're at 20 is negligible, right? So a lot of businesses, you're paying more for product, things like that. That's kind of the beauty here. So everything, once you keep going up, is profit margin.
And Renee, it sounds like the first truck really just kind of is there to cover your baseline expenses and give you a little bit of margin. And then the second, third, fourth, 500th truck, like that's when you really start to be able to
Yeah,
see
if you're
some
gonna,
significant growth.
if
Is
you're
that a
doing,
fair statement?
if you're doing it your way, which you have a driver similar to me, I would say, yeah, but even if we're at 30, we're gonna be making some, you know, a fair margin. But you're
Mhm.
right that if you're, you know, that's more, the end game with having a few owners, for sure, us is to have multiple trucks.
Mhm.
And also, you know, they can work together. So I do see some synergies of having a bigger fleet as
Mhm.
well. But yeah, but if you're yourself doing it, then I mean, you can do really well yourself quite quickly. But the way you want to do it, I would say, yeah, your goal is to get those 3-4 trucks at the end of the day or more.
Thanks. Everybody likes more. More is good.
That's right. I know. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, I guess. Yeah.
I didn't have any other questions. Renee, I appreciate the time
Okay.
and the
Yeah.
transparency. Very helpful.
My
I don't know if
pleasure.
others
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I'm good, Renee. I really appreciate your
All
time.
right. And my email is rene@bidmasters.ca. So if you have any questions, or you can ask Sean or Dennis if you want another quick call with me.
Perfect.
Yeah, feel free. But just quickly, what are you guys looking at different? I just like to know what other franchises are people looking at, and just for fun. I'm a little entrepreneur, so I always like hearing what's going on out there. Michael, are you looking at some other ones that are of interest to you? Or?
I just looked at two others that I passed on. One was a pet grooming company, which it's mobile pet grooming, didn't have margins or scalability available to it. There's just too much being taken off the top between the groomers and the cost of the vehicles, et cetera. So margins were just not attractive. And then a real estate business, which I was hoping there was some form of creative financing associated with it, but they were basically like, no, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, but we don't really have a financing option. And I was like, okay, so basically I'm doing all of the work myself. I'm going to finance everything myself. Not really sure you're adding any value by just doing marketing for me. So I passed on that as well. So those were, I just began this journey. So Ben Masters is one of 3 that I've been evaluating.
Okay.
And so far what I've heard, it's certainly positive in the right direction. So just looking to go through the discovery process here.
Cool. Good stuff. Jeff, have you been tinkering with any other ideas? Or?
Yeah, I've just basically just got started in the process. I've also looked at 3 different opportunities. One of them was window sales and installation, and the other was an athletic training type facility. There again, the margins, you know, with the training facility, it just seemed like you're going to have to be going to the high schools, recruiting people all the time. You know, they're going to be in and out. The window, there's down here in Houston, there's just fierce competition, and it didn't appear that was going to be, you know, a way to go. But with Ben Master, it's different, it's unique. You know, it's kind of got its own moat, and you know, so that's why I've stayed with it, kept looking at them.
Cool. Other Jeff. Didn't realize I didn't catch on. There's 2 Jeffs there.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I've got a couple. One is kind of a consulting firm type deal, a lot of training and things, more home based. So it's there's some money to be made there. It's an interesting option. It's still on the table.
Yeah.
Another one is a sign company that I'm looking at, and I don't know if I want to go full brick and mortar like that. The only thing I do like about it is it's more of a licensee. You don't have continuing royalties that go on with it. So
Okay.
they provided a lot of support. So that's attractive from that point. But again, it's more brick and mortar,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So it's still on the table. But I like just the service industry of Ben Master. It's fairly new. It feels like you're kind of getting in on the ground floor, even though there is some competition that's already out there in the market. I don't know how much, I mean, especially in our market here in Dallas, I don't know how the rest of you guys are, but I mean, we're putting up tilt wall buildings left and right without having an occupant already. They're just building things. So
Right.
This market is ripe for it. There's plenty of opportunities, even with the competition. And honestly, with, the competition just gets more word out there. So,
Yeah, it's still infant. One line I like to say is every time we crush, or every 2 crushes, you're stopping a truck from going to the dump and back.
yeah,
Because you average about 50%. So when you think about that simple, how could not everyone have a crush one day? That's kind of where it's going to be. So how's it all going to fall out? And so I think there's so many bins out there. I think I asked a guy in Vancouver, and there's about 30,000 bins in Vancouver, and so we're crushing like less than 100 bins. So some guys aren't as frequent, but there's business out there for sure.
Yeah.
We're in the infancy. Oh, you, Vince, have you seen other cool
So-
businesses?
So I was looking at same sign shop, and the kicker there is you start, it's brick and mortar, and then also it's dependent on you for the next 4 to 5 years, maybe 6 years before you start making a good profit, before you can walk away or sell it. Where here I'm thinking in about 2 or 3 years I can start moving away from it and let everybody else run the show and do it more absentee. The other one was Expedia Cruises. Same thing. You got to bring in about 30 to 40 workforce and then just keep training them. So this is a little
Okay.
more passive
Cool.
income,
Yeah.
I think, in the long run.
All right. Yeah. The sign thing seems like, I think I've only had about 3 of these or 4 calls, about 15 people total. And the sign business actually came up another time too. So I don't know if it must be out there a lot. I don't know if you guys are
yeah. I
talking
mean,
this.
the rumor, whatever you want, the word on the street is, the sign companies that are out there, they can't keep up with what they're doing. So
That's right.
there is,
They're turning.
yeah, they're turning things away. So there's business,
Yeah,
to be made
yeah.
there, but you got to hire somebody who really knows what they're doing. And then to Vince's point, you've got to be an owner operator for several years before you can even start considering semi-absenteeism. So.
Cool. All right. Thanks for sharing. I was like hearing what's out there. But yeah, any other questions, guys?
I'm good, Rene. I appreciate your
All right.
time.
Yeah, of
It was
course.
nice to meet you,
My
Renee.
pleasure. Anytime.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Renee.
Bye-bye.
Talk to
Have
you
a good day,
soon.
everybody. Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
guys.